Sometimes I have to press X. Alright, well, here we go. Here's Jay Powell. Please cut rates. Please. Please.
I remain squarely focused on achieving our dual mandate goals of maximum employment and stable prices for the benefit of the American people. The economy is strong overall and has made significant progress toward our goals over the past 2 years. The labor market has cooled from its formerly overheated state and remains solid. Inflation has eased substantially from a peak of 7% to 2.1% as of September. We are committed to maintaining our economy's strength by supporting maximum employment and returning inflation to our 2% goal. Today, the FOMC decided to take another step in reducing the degree of policy restraint by lowering our policy interest rate by 1/4 percentage point.
Let's go!
We continue to be confident that with the appropriate recalibration of our policy stance, strength in the economy and the labor market can be maintained, with inflation moving sustainably down to 2%. We also decided to continue to reduce our securities holdings. I'll have more to say about monetary policy after briefly reviewing economic developments. Recent indicators suggest that economic activity has continued to expand at a solid pace. GDP rose at an annual rate of 2.8% in the third quarter, about the same pace as in the second quarter. Growth of consumer spending has remained resilient, and investment in equipment and intangibles has strengthened. In contrast, activity in the housing sector has been weak. Overall, improving supply conditions have supported the strong performance of the U.S. economy over the past year. In the labor market, conditions remain solid. Payroll job gains have slowed from earlier in the year, averaging 104,000 per month over the past 3 months. This figure would have been somewhat higher were it not for the effects of labor strikes and hurricanes on employment in October. Regarding the hurricanes, let me extend our sympathies to all the families, businesses, and communities who have been harmed by these devastating storms. The unemployment rate is notably higher than it was a year ago, but it has edged down over the past 3 months and remains low at 4.1% in October. Nominal wage growth has eased over the past year, and the jobs-to-workers gap has narrowed. Overall, a broad set of indicators suggests that conditions in the labor market are now less tight than just before the pandemic in 2019. The labor market is not a source of significant inflationary pressures. Inflation has eased significantly over the past 2 years. Total PCE prices rose 2.1% over the 12 months ending in September, excluding the volatile food and energy categories. Core PCE prices rose 2.7%. Overall, inflation has moved much closer to our 2% longer-run goal.
Yes!
But core inflation remains somewhat elevated. Longer-term inflation expectations appear to remain well anchored, as reflected in a broad range of surveys of households, businesses, and forecasters, as well as measures from financial markets. Our monetary policy actions are guided by our dual mandate to promote maximum employment and stable prices for the American people. We see the risks to achieving our employment and inflation goals as being roughly in balance, and we're attentive to the risks to both sides of our mandate. At today's meeting, the committee decided to lower the target range for the federal funds rate by 1/4 percentage point to 4.5% to 4.75%.
Good.
This further recalibration of our policy stance will help maintain the strength of the economy and the labor market, and will continue to enable further progress on inflation as we move toward a more neutral stance over time. We know that reducing policy restraint too quickly could hinder progress on inflation. At the same time, reducing policy restraint too slowly could unduly weaken economic activity and employment. In considering additional adjustments to the target range for the federal funds rate, the committee will carefully assess incoming data, the evolving outlook, and the balance of risks. We are not on any preset course. We will continue to make our decisions meeting by meeting. As the economy evolves, monetary policy will adjust in order to best promote our maximum employment and price stability goals. If the economy remains strong and inflation is not sustainably moving toward 2%, we can dial back policy restraint more slowly. If the labor market were to weaken unexpectedly, or inflation were to fall more quickly than anticipated, we can move more quickly. Policy is well positioned to deal with the risks and uncertainties that we face in pursuing both sides of our dual mandate. The Fed has been assigned two goals for monetary policy: maximum employment and stable prices. We remain committed to supporting maximum employment, bringing inflation sustainably to a 2% goal, and keeping longer-term inflation expectations well anchored. Our success in delivering on these goals matters to all Americans. We understand that our actions affect communities, families, and businesses across the country. Everything we do is in service to our public mission. We at the Fed will do everything we can to achieve our maximum employment and price stability goals. Thank you. I look forward to our discussion.
Thank you. Given the expectation that the election outcome will produce policies that would meaningfully impact the U.S. economy next year, how is the committee taking these proposals into account for upcoming decisions, including potentially the next one in December? And can you give us any more sense of how proactive or reactive the Fed is prepared to be to changes in economic policies with the next administration?
Sure. So let me say that in the near term, the election will have no effects on our policy decisions. As you know, many things affect the economy, and anyone who writes down forecasts in their job will tell you that the economy is quite difficult to forecast looking out past the very near term. Here, we don't know what the timing and substance of any policy changes will be. We therefore don't know what the effects on the economy would be, specifically whether and to what extent those policies would matter for the achievement of our goal variables, maximum employment and price stability.
I'm going to take a
We don't guess, we don't speculate, and we don't assume.
Another one.
Now, just in principle, it's possible that any administration's policies or policies put in place by Congress could have economic effects that over time that would matter for our pursuit of our dual mandate goals. So we, along with countless other factors, forecasts of those economic effects would be included in our models of the economy and would be taken into account through that channel.
Nick.
Chair Powell, Nick Turner from the Wall Street Journal. Roughly 1 year ago, when the 10-year Treasury was flirting with 5% and 30-year mortgage rates were near 8%, you noted how higher borrowing costs, if they were sustained, could weigh on economic activity. Given that you've said you believe policy is restrictive and the Fed is now dialing back that restriction, are the growth risks presented by higher U.S. Treasury yields today any different from those you identified 1 year ago when inflation was still meaningfully above your target?
So I would just say this: we've watched the run up in bond rates, and it's nowhere near where it was, of course, a year ago. I guess the long run rates are well below that level. So we're watching that. Things have been moving around, and we'll see where they settle. I think it's too early to really say where they settle. Ultimately, I'm sure we've all read these decompositions of what, and I certainly have, but it's not really our job to provide our specific decomposition. I will say, though, that it appears that the moves are not principally about higher inflation expectations. They're really about a sense of more likelihood of stronger growth and perhaps less in the way of downside risks. So that's what they're about. We do take financial conditions into account if they're persistent and if they're material, then we'll certainly take them into account in our policy. But I would say we're not at that stage right now. It's just something that we're watching. And again, these things, don't really have mainly to do with Fed policy, but to do with other factors in the economy.
If I could follow up, is the September SEP, are those rate projections still valid? Do they still seem relevant given where we are now?
You get halfway through the cycle between the last set and the next set. I wouldn't want to comment one way or the other. People are. Let's talk about the data we've gotten since the last meeting. So, in the main, the economic activity data have been stronger than expected. The NIPA revision was stronger.
I really thought
the September employment report was stronger. The October report not stronger. Retail sales stronger. So overall, though, I think you take away a sense of risk to economic activity having been diminished.
Yeah, so much for this market
NIPA revisions in particular. And so
I really
overall,
thought
feeling good about economic activity. So I think we would factor that in. At the same time, we got one inflation report, which it wasn't terrible, but it was a little higher than expected. So I think really the question is December, and by December we'll have more data. I guess one more employment report, two more inflation reports, and lots of other data, and we'll make a decision as we get to December.
Gina Smilik from the New York Times. Thanks for taking our questions, Chair Powell. When it comes to December, what will you be looking at specifically as you try to make that decision? And then as of the Fed's economic projections in September, you had written down 4 quarter-point interest rate cuts in 2025. Do you still think that those are likely? Is that sort of the baseline outlook at this point, or has that shifted? And if it shifted at all, can you give a little bit of
the moment
detail
this bitch opened her mouth, the spy crashed.
We don't fill out an SEP, and I can't characterize one that wasn't filled out today, so I can't really speak for kind of exactly where the committee is. I would just say for December we're going to be, again, in every meeting we're going to be looking at the incoming data and how that affects the outlook. As you know, we're in the process of recalibrating from a fairly restrictive level at 5.33%. After today's move, we're down 75 basis points, and we're asking ourselves, is that where we need to be? That we're trying to steer between the risk of moving too quickly and perhaps undermining our progress on inflation, or moving too slowly and allowing the labor market to weaken too much. We're trying to be on a middle path where we can maintain the strength in the labor market while also enabling further progress on inflation. We think that's where we are, but that's the question we're going to be asking in September and in other meetings. And again, I can't really update you on the committee's thinking because we don't fill out an SEP at this meeting.
Yeah, totally appreciate that. I guess when it comes to your own thinking, do you think that a full percentage point of rate cuts in 2025 is a reasonable outlook?
Again, we're going to wait and see how things come in December. I mean, it's just
this bitch needs to shut her mouth.
We're on a path to a more neutral stance, and that's very much what we're on. That has not changed at all since September, we're just going to have to see where the data lead us. We have a whole 6 weeks of data to look at to make that decision in December. Obviously, I'm not ruling it out or in, but I would say to look at to make that decision in December. Obviously, I'm not ruling it out or in, but I would say that. Again, we didn't update the SEP, so I'm not going to characterize where the committee would be.
Thanks, Howard Schneider with Reuters. I wondered if you could please elaborate and explain a little bit the 2 changes in the language of the statement here. In the first paragraph, where you say inflation has made progress, dropping the word further progress. And in the second paragraph, dropping the sentence that the committee had gained greater confidence that inflation was progressing towards its 2% goal. Is there any policy substance behind either of those changes in language? Is it meant to open the door to a December pause? Is it meant to communicate anything about the stickiness of core inflation in the last 3 months?
Not really, no. So let me tell you what we were thinking. So the test of gaining further confidence was our test for the first rate cut, right? And so we met that test in September, and therefore we take that test out. If you leave it in, then it's new forward guidance. It's brand new forward guidance. What do you mean by it? Are you requiring yet further? We have to say yes or no at every meeting whether we've made further progress. The point is we have gained confidence that we're on a sustainable path down to 2%. So that I would tell you is what that's really all about. It's not meant to send a signal. Neither of those is meant to send a further signal. And saying further progress, it becomes a test. We don't want to be. We don't think it's a good time to be doing a lot of forward guidance. Where there's a fair amount of uncertainty in that. In what I've said, the path that we're on, we do know where the destination is, but we don't know the right pace, and we don't know exactly where the destination is. So the point is to find the right pace and the right destination as we go. And I think there's a fair amount of uncertainty about that. And you don't want to tie yourself up with guidance. You want to be able to make sensible decisions as you go.
Steve Leisman, CNBC. Mr. Chairman, you talked about higher rates, perhaps from an expectation of higher growth. You didn't talk about it in terms of expectations of higher deficits. Is that something you think might be behind the recent rise in interest rates, and are rising deficits a concern to you?
So we don't comment on fiscal policy, and again, I don't have a lot more to say on what's driving bond yields. In terms of policy changes, though, let me give you a sense of how this works in the ordinary case. Let's say Congress is considering a rewrite of the tax laws. Doesn't matter what's in the content. So we would follow that. At a certain point, we'd think we see the outlines, so we'd start to model it. And then we'd wait, and at a certain point, the staff would brief the FOMC and say, these are the likely effects. There's lots and lots of literature on the effects of tax policy changes on various parts of the economy. So we'd try to get smart on that, and then the law actually passes. And you'd start to you probably run an alternative simulation before that happens, just to keep people trying to understand it. Then when it actually passes, it goes into the model, along with a million other things. So we have a very large economy. Many things are affecting it at any given time, and a law change of some kind would go in there, but it would go in. But it would it's a process that takes some time. Clearly, the legislative process takes a lot of time, and of course, the real question is not the effect of that law. It's all of the policy changes that are happening. What's the net effect? And the overall effect on the economy at any given time. So I think that's a process that takes a lot of time and that we go through all the time with every administration, constantly. And this will be no different. But right now there's nothing to model right now. It's such an early stage. We don't know what the policies are, and once we know what they are, we won't have a sense of when they'll be implemented or all those sorts of things. So I think I would just say we're not doing that now, and all that will take time, and it will be very much
I made a homemade pizza,
when
and it's on a cauliflower
If I could
crust.
just follow up on Nick's question.
I had a rosé pasta sauce, but I used this
like you
pizza
need
sauce.
to lean against in that they go against
It's like
the direction of policy.
2 types of tomatoes, garlic, Romano cheese, basil, and then I had pepperoni I got from the deli,
The
because I
first
don't like
question is
that
how long will it be
pre-bagged.
sustained? If you remember the 5% 10-year,
And then
people are drawing massively important conclusions.
I had
only to find,
English cheddar.
3 weeks later,
I got
the
from,
10-year was 50
the
basis
blocks.
points lower. So
I went to the
it's
deli,
material
and
changes
they
in
had
financial conditions that last,
like the
that are
massive
persistent, that really
cheese
matter.
blocks,
And we
and
don't know
they
that
had
about
English
these.
cheddar
What we've
imported
seen
from
so far,
England.
we're watching it, we're reading, we're doing the decompositions,
And I use it as
and reading
pizza
others,
cheese?
but
Bruh.
right now it's not a major factor in how we're thinking about
Gas.
things.
Chris.
Oh my god.
Thank you, Chris Rugaber at Associated Press. You mentioned the positive economic data that we've seen since the September meeting, including the revisions to things like savings, higher GDP growth.
English cheddar just has
We
that,
saw
it's more
stock market
salty,
jump yesterday.
and it has a
That's
certain
really some of the
sharpness
questions
to
about
it
why,
that American
why too
cheddar
many cuts
doesn't
at all
have.
in this,
And I like it.
with this backdrop.
So you're right. As I mentioned, as you mentioned, the latest economic data have been strong, and that's, of course, a great thing and highly welcome. But, of course, our mandate is maximum employment and price stability, and we think that even with today's
Gluten-free,
cut, policy is still restrictive.
Restaurant quality
we
pizza.
understand it's
No, it tastes like
say
bread.
precisely how restrictive.
It tastes like a thin crust.
But it is still restrictive. And if you look at our goal variables, the labor market has
no
cooled
flop.
a great deal from its overheated state of 2 years ago and is now essentially in balance. It is continuing to cool, albeit at a modest rate, and we don't need further cooling
Who are they going against?
to achieve our inflation mandate. So that's the labor market. Inflation has moved down a great deal from its highs of 2 years ago, and we judged, as I mentioned, that it's on a sustainable path back to 2%. So the job's not done on inflation. But if you look at those two things, we judged in September that it was appropriate to begin to recalibrate our policy stance to reflect this progress, and today's decision is really another step in that process.
Holy Shrek
Overall,
dick!
As I mentioned, we believe that with an appropriate recalibration of our policy stance, we can maintain strength in the labor market even as our policy stance enables further progress toward our inflation goal.
Great. And just to follow up, what might cause you to pause?
There goes SPY, finally.
Economic data would lead you to
that
path. Thank you.
Come on, keep going. Don't you sucker me. Don't you sucker me like that, SPY.
A decision like that at all. But we're in the process, as I mentioned, of moving policy down, our stance down over time to a more neutral level. And as a general matter, as we move ahead, we are prepared to adjust our assessments of the appropriate pace and destination as the outlook evolves. So, for example, if we were to see the labor market deteriorating, we'd be prepared to move more quickly. Alternatively, as we approach levels that are plausibly neutral,
dude, this pizza I made,
close to neutral,
fire.
May turn out to be appropriate.
That English cheddar, man, makes it.
Restriction. Again,
English cheddar as cheese, pizza cheese.
Certainly a possibility. If you can think of it as similar to what we do with asset purchase, with asset runoff, with QT. So we reach a point where we slow the pace, much like an airplane reaching the airport slows down. And so, we're thinking about it that way, but it's something that we're just beginning to think about.
Edward. Thanks, Chair Powell. So, with the noise in the jobs reports that we've seen, and you look at the favored inflation,
SPY is the ETF
2.1%,
that
very
tracks
close to the Fed's target, but
the SPX movement.
2.7%.
So
and it's been that way since July.
I'm just keeping an eye on both.
This data
but
give fuel
if SPY is going up,
to
SPX is going up.
This meeting.
SPX is the actual SP 500.
6 month. You're quoting the 12-month. So we look at all of them, right? But if you look at the 3 and 6 month core PCE, you'll see they're around 2.3%. So we look at all of them, and we look at
5 or 6 are lit
12 as well. But what it's telling us is that we really have made significant progress, and we expect there to be bumps. For example, the last 3 months of last year, the core
we needed
PCE
to go way higher start.
Low, probably unsustainably low. So
I want to see 6,000.
That's why forecasts generally see a couple of upticks toward the end of the year. On the other hand, the January reading certainly looks like an example of residual seasonality, so that we saw last year. So when that falls out of the 12-month calculation,
this is the most boring FOMC meeting I've ever seen.
Up and then down.
Like there's no massive direction one way or the other. There's no typical massive green candle. There's not a typical massive red candle. It's just
a couple of things. One is
choose a direction already.
Goods, which together make up 80% of the core PCE index, are back to the levels they were at the last time we had sustained 2% inflation, which happens to be in the early 2000s for a period.
That's how I think about that.
So they're back to that level. What's not is housing services. So let's talk about housing services. Housing services is higher. What's going on there is, market rents, newly signed leases are experiencing very low inflation. And what's happening is older, leases that are turning over are taking several years to catch up to where market rent leases are. So that's just a catch-up problem. It's not really reflecting current inflationary pressures. It's reflecting past inflationary pressures. So that's one thing. The other thing is I'd say look at the labor market, not a source of inflationary pressures. Where's it coming from? It's not a very tight economy. What is the story about inflation? You see that catch-up inflation also in insurance and several other areas. So you're seeing we're not declaring victory, obviously, but we feel like the story is very consistent with inflation continuing to come down on a bumpy path over the next couple of years and settling around 2%. That story is intact, and it won't be one or two really good data months or bad data months aren't going to really change the pattern at this point now that we're this far
at 5.9.
So you're quickly trying to get to that neutral rate that you see, or do you foresee that you have some time to get there?
Nothing in the economic data suggests that the committee has any need to be in a hurry to get there.
I want my green candles,
economic activity,
and I want my green candles now, J. Powell.
But we do see
you can cut interest rates. You promised the whole economy a fat green dick in SPY. Give me my green dick!
Again, that's not meant to have a specific meaning. To the extent that
I demand Shrek, Ogre,
to
penis.
take advantage of that as we try to navigate that middle path between the two risks.
Come on, J. Powell, put it on. Do it.
Hi, Chair Powell. Craig Torres from
Do it.
Two questions today. Did you learn anything about what Americans think about the economy from the election results?
Freaking J. Powell giving all the freaking bulls in the market blue balls.
I want to talk about some labor market indicators, and I do so with great respect for your attentiveness to the maximum employment side of the mandate, Chair Powell. So the unemployment rate has been at 4% or higher for 6 months. One of the broadest measures of unemployment is up about 0.5 point from a year ago. Compensation gains are sliding back.
Come on.
The quits rate, a signal of labor market dynamism.
Give us $600 SPY and give us freaking 6,000 SPS.
You put a marker at Jackson Hole saying any further cooling is unwelcome. It is cooling generally a little bit further. So at what point do we reach what you would describe as a shortfall from maximum employment? Thank you.
Sure. So on your first question, I'm not going to talk about anything that relates directly or indirectly to the election. On the second one, this is the great question, and so one we think about all the time. So I'll just say a couple things. There's nothing really surprising here. What we know is that the unemployment rate is low. We also know that it's come down significantly. Moved up significantly from a year or so ago. So we've seen a big change upward in unemployment. Sometimes that has meant bad things. But so far, it doesn't appear to be. It appears that I wouldn't say that the labor market is fully stabilized.
Are you living in the USA?
Very gradually cool. But it seems to be in a good place.
You want to see me smoke some weed?
Of course, is designed to keep it in that good place, to maintain the strength in the labor market, while also enabling further progress on inflation. You mentioned
20-cent roulette is the best.
The openings to unemployment rate is back to a normal level. I would characterize it more broadly as normalizing. You mentioned wages. Wages are still running just a bit above where they would need to be consistent with 2% inflation, unless productivity is going to remain at this high level. If we see productivity, more sustainably at these high levels,
I got to grind out more weed.
Higher wage gains. So I would say, in fact, you could say it the other way. That wage increases are now consistent with 2%.
Did you send me more pics?
Current productivity readings, but of course, the lore on productivity readings is whenever you see high readings,
on the
you should assume they're going to revert pretty quickly to the longer-term trend. That has always been the case for 50 years. But it may be that we're now 5 years.
You can't even see it. Hold on.
Revisions. 5 years into a nice set of productivity readings, which are sustained and very healthy.
Go.
Series.
Go.
We'll be looking at all of them.
Go.
But we don't want the labor market to soften much from here. We don't think we need that to happen to get inflation back to 2%.
Hi, Victoria Guido with Politico. Some of the president-elect's advisors have suggested that you should resign.
It's going. We're finally going.
Would you go?
Stark.
No.
We actually might do it. Hold on.
Keep going.
Keep going.
Not required.
Keep going.
No.
Hold the actual hell on, Stark. Hold on. Wait a minute.
You talk a lot about what the data are telling you and how you are dependent on the data, but in terms of forward-looking assessments of the economy, what are you hearing from CEOs or other officials around the country?
I'm watching the FOMC meeting.
The regional bank presidents.
It's the Federal Reserve meeting. Very, very, very important today.
Is going from here rather than looking backwards.
Jerome Powell is talking about where the country is going financially. So where interest rates are going to be for banks, companies, and just us in general.
Discussions we had, and of course you'll see them in the minutes.
Everything financial, he's answering it.
I think the comments from our Reserve Bank colleagues and from the CEOs that they talk to are pretty constructive on the economy right now. Pretty constructive, feeling that the labor.
Well, let me look at the Discord real quick.
Back to normal, to the point where it's no longer that much of a discussion topic in their worlds, whereas 2 years ago it was all they were talking about. So they feel like the labor market's in balance. People feel good about.
I mean, you're good on that one bet.
Obviously, pretty strong, and you're seeing what 2.8% growth in the third quarter estimated. Maybe the year.
We're above 590.
This is a strong economy. It's actually remarkable.
The SP 500 wants to go above 595 so bad, or 5975 so bad. It wants to break it so bad.
Any of our global peers, and I think that is reflected in what you hear.
It's on the track to going 5980.
I hear people here from CEOs. I don't get to talk to a lot of CEOs.
You're going to cash on that one bet, Stark.
Summarize
for it to close above 5950.
Do a lot of that, and
it's on track to probably closing out on way over that.
There's a caution and things like that, but ultimately, overall, pretty positive.
To follow up, the areas of caution.
I live in Germany. Living here is
clouds on the horizon that you identified as something you're watching. What would they be?
Why is it shit there?
It's things like clearly. Geopolitical risks around the world are elevated.
Celtics are goated.
And just as clearly, they've had relatively little effect on the U.S. economy. Now, that can change through the price of oil.
The Scottish-Irish gods of soccer.
People talk about those as something that's on the horizon all the time. But ultimately, if you look at the U.S. economy, its performance has been very good. And,
good. Keep saying good things.
That's what we hear from business people, and expectation that will continue. If anything, people feel next year, I've heard this from several people, that next year could even be stronger than this year.
Hi, it's Andrew.
That's really good what he just said. He just said that next year is probably going to be better than this year.
Your predecessors, Greenspan,
on the rate that we're going.
When they thought large budget deficits endangered economic or financial stability.
You're good.
Will you do that too? And right now we're in a period of full employment. We have large budget deficits and debt at historic highs that are rising. Is that something you'd speak out against?
So, I have said many times, no more, no less than what the predecessors you mentioned have said. And what that is that the U.S. federal...
Yeah, against Dortmund, I think it probably was. But no, Celtics are going to win.
Path. The level of our debt relative to the economy is not unsustainable.
I told you all crypto was going to shoot up. I've been talking about crypto for years.
Very large deficit you're at full employment.
Years.
To continue.
I told you all to invest before it's too late. Because what did I tell you all? You all were going to come running back to me. Why is crypto going up?
I've said it on many occasions.
What app do I download? What do I invest in? What's a good crypto to invest in?
The question is to follow up.
Told you all.
Question.
I told you all. Bitcoin was going to see all-time highs. Solana was going to go back to 200 plus. Ethereum was going to go.
At will any of the other governors with
what did I
leadership
tell you all?
positions.
Not permitted under the law.
Not what?
Fuck, I
Not
knew.
permitted under the law.
I knew. I told you all.
Courtney Brown.
I'm going to go in the crypto and stock market.
In response to Howard's question, you said it wasn't an ideal time to give forward guidance because of the economic uncertainty.
Invest in Doge, Solana, SHIB,
some of those uncertainties
mainly
are,
Solana.
And whether or not it includes some of the
Solana's on pace to being 200 right now. Solana is outpacing Bitcoin.
No, I was not referring to the new administration.
Bitcoin is only up 2.5%. Solana 4.7%. Yesterday it went like 19%.
As we look ahead, we know, as I mentioned this in
Solana is mooning right now. It's literally $2.50 away from being
the economy
200.
We think our policy are both in a very good place, And but as you look forward, you say, what are the risks? And one risk is that we would move too quickly and find ourselves having moved too quickly, and inflation comes back, and we lost our chance to get inflation back to 2%. So we have to avoid that risk, and to avoid that risk, that means you want to move carefully. The other risk is that we move too slowly, and that we allow the labor market to weaken too much
2,000 milligram
and do unnecessary damage to the labor market and to people's
Blue Lobster.
That says don't get behind the curve. So these two things.
So 2,000 milligrams just is the amount.
So we're in the middle.
That just means it's a 2 gram vape pen.
Manage both of those. Again,
you can have a 100 milligram THC vape pen. It's still going to hit you the same as a 2,000. 2,000 milligrams is just the amount of like liquid THC that's actually in the pen.
2% inflation goal. So
2,000 milligrams just means you have a 2 gram pen.
Meeting by meeting, we're going to be making our assessment of what the right path is. It's not as important.
All that matters is the THC percentage.
And the arc of them is to move
like, for instance, like on my weed right now, 24.37%, but it's a half ounce.
We're pretty sure it's below where we are now, but as we move further, there will be more uncertainty about where that is, and we're going to move carefully
as this
goes on, so that we can increase.
It depends on what you want to invest in.
Simon.
Thank you, Chair Powell. Simon Rabinovich with The Economist. I know you don't want to share your decomposition of bond yields, but if you look at the break-evens, it is clear that longer-term inflation expectations do seem to have risen up at about 2.5%, for example, on the 5 year.
I am smoking.
That's up half a point from when you cut in September.
Sweet tea sunset server.
Do you have any concern at all that longer-term inflation expectations are de-anchoring, or put another way, are anchoring at a slightly higher level? Thanks.
So we would be concerned if we thought we saw longer-term inflation expectations anchoring at a higher level. That's not what we're seeing. We're still seeing, between surveys and market readings, broadly consistent with. I looked at the 5-year earlier today, and it's probably moved, but it's not. It's kind of right where it's been, and also it's pretty close to consistent with 2% PCE inflation. So that's one additional one that we look at a lot. But overall, expectations seem to be, and really have throughout this, in a place that's consistent with 2% inflation. But you're right to say we watch that very carefully, and we will not allow inflation.
If you're in crypto, you're going to be just fine.
Drift upward. But that's really why we reacted so sharply back in 2022 was to avoid that.
But if you're going to get into stock trading, all you have to know is option trading.
Hi, Chair Powell. Kelly O'Grady, CBS News. We just talked about what you've heard from business leaders on the economy, but many average Americans are still not feeling the strength of the economy in their wallets. So what's your message to them on when they might expect relief?
So you're right that we say the economy is performing well, and it is. But we also know that people are still feeling the effects of high prices, for example. And the world went through a global inflation shock, and inflation went up everywhere, and it stays with you because the price level doesn't come back down. So what that takes is it takes some years of real wage gains for people to feel better. And that's what we're trying to create, and I think we're well on the road to creating that. Inflation has come way down. The economy is still strong here. wages are moving up, but at a sustainable level. So it's just, I think what needs to happen is happening, and for the most part has happened. But it'll be some time before people, regain their confidence and feel that. And we don't tell people how to feel about the economy. We completely respect what they're feeling. Those feelings are true. They're accurate. We don't question them. We respect them.
And just a quick follow-up, President-elect Trump has been critical of your performance. Any concern about his influence on the Fed's independence?
I'm not going to get into any of the political things here today, but thank you.
Hi, Chair Powell. Nancy Marshall-Genzer with Marketplace. What is your plan if we start to see stagflation?
So that's the whole plan is not to have stagflation, so we don't have to deal with it. So that is actually our plan.
I think it's good for.
It's of course a very difficult thing.
The stock market.
It's
going to be good for parts of the economy. I know that the liberal Democratic people don't like it, but
employment mandate. I would just say that
dude,
we
honestly, what I have to say to that, tough shit.
A whole lot, much closer to our goal,
shit.
Without the kind of sharp increase in unemployment.
Like, suck it the fuck up. Dude,
programs of disinflation.
The liberal Democratic Party has to look
a real weakening
at
in
the American people and the way the economy is going without emotions, and they can't. They can't look at it without emotions. That's why anytime we bring up LGBTQ, gender, trans, race, or anything remotely evolved around that, they talk an hour about that, and then it just becomes that. And it's like, why do you not give a shit about money? Why do you not give a single about the wage or the economy, small businesses?
That will not change from the September SEP. That is our baseline forecast.
All they give a damn about, is gender and bullshit. It's so.
But ultimately, we're not in a world where we can afford to
5980. Hello.
A full year in advance. There's just too much uncertainty in what we do.
SP 500 freaking shot up really well just now.
Hi, Chair Powell. Jean Young with MNI Market News. I wanted to go back to a comment that you had made about Americans being unhappy about the cumulative price level rises over the past few years. Even though now inflation is back on the path to 2%.
Buy more and hold.
Would it be appropriate for the Fed to undershoot for a while on its inflation goal under the average inflation targeting regime, so people have?
There's something you all have to understand. They are never going to make more Bitcoin.
We're aiming for inflation.
Let me repeat that for the people in the back.
We did not think it would be appropriate to.
They are never going to produce any more Bitcoin.
And part of the problem there is that
there's 21 million
in a way
coins.
But that's not part of our framework.
They're not making any more.
We're going to be looking at it.
No less, no more. It's finite amount. But with money, they're going to print as much as they want. They can print trillions and trillions and trillions, and the value is just going to slowly just do this. But Bitcoin, it's digital gold. I think the meeting ended. Yeah, it says the meeting ended. Well, I honestly expected the SP 500 to go up way more. I was expecting way more of a jump. This was not nearly as much of a jump as I wanted it to be. Hello? I don't have any money at the moment, and you have to go to Asher now. No, you're good. I mean, if I have to in the future, I mean, I'll try. But I thought Joe was giving him money every week. I'll talk to Joe then. I don't know why he hasn't been giving him money. Okay. Okay. No, yeah, I'll see what I can do. Mm-hmm. Love you too. Huh. Yo, SPY is cranking right now. Back to fat green candles on the SP 500. Yeah, the Fed meeting is over now, but SPY is still cranking. I swear, if we somehow hit over 6,000 and just splurge over 6,000, dude, I am going to absolutely lose my mind. If we close over 6,000 before close, dude, I'm literally gonna lose my mind. Because wait, where's my phone? I have that Kalshi bet going. If this ends up hitting, dude, I'm literally gonna lose my mind. I mean, we have time, but the freaking Bulls are gonna have to pull off a miracle. But I think they want to race to 600 on SPY. And if they race anywhere close to 600, the SP 500 is probably gonna go to 6,000 plus. But we shall see. We shall see. The stock market is in the hands of the fucking financial gods now. I'm just trying to find some a song to listen to. Hold on. It just broke the all-time high again. Wait, Falcon 9?
No.
Wait, SpaceX is launching a rocket? When? Cape Canaveral? Wait, where is that? Wait a minute.
Go for it.
Where is that?
SpaceX is now
Cape
Canaveral. 20 seconds.
Oh, in Florida. So I'm gonna have to look that way.
Rocket.
Holy crap! He's launching a rocket in Florida. I don't think I'm gonna be able to see it. Man.
And here we go. In 10.
Yeah, if you guys are on the East Coast, you guys will be able to see the SpaceX rocket.
5.
Wow. Lucky. I want to see this SpaceX rocket. very underwhelming bull run. So underwhelming. I mean, your 59.50 bet is easily gonna cash.
He used to rely on me for skincare advice. Now he's so fresh. But I probably should use Old Spice too.
Are you passionate about auto or diesel? At Universal Technical Institute, you can train hands-on and learn skills that employers need from their technicians. Learn more about these career paths by clicking the link below.
SP 500 was so close to going to 6,000. It was right there. It could have. It could have. Fucking could have. I have right now tastes really good too. It's really strong. I'm in the garden smoking. Shit.
There are some feelings you can get with any sports book. But the feeling...
Dude, I've been kicking ass on Call of Duty lately. already have gold guns. The intro to their albums is awesome. No,
Spruce up the holidays with a wide selection of free-lit trees from Home Depot.
I remember shrimming to this for the first time when this album came out. This is Lexurus's latest album, and this is the opening to his album. It's called Prelude. His whole fucking album tripped me out. Maybe. Dude, I want the Bulls to come in right now and send the fucking SP500 into goddamn overdrive, and I want it now. I want to bet on that fight. I want to put all my money on Tyson. Fuck Jake Paul. He's a steroided, pregnant-looking motherfucker. That guy looks terrible. He's obviously on roids. It's so... Dude, it's so bad. Well, I guess it does, doesn't it, Jelly? Shit, I never thought about it like that, man. I'll tell you what.
Dude, Tyson's gonna fucking murder him. Even, I already saw Mike Tyson's practice videos, and even Mike Tyson's coach is terrified of him. He's like, I've been training him for decades, and he said that he's never seen Mike Tyson this determined to win. He wants to beat the shit out of Jake. Like, I don't think we're prepared. Dude, he's literally on roids. He looks pregnant, dude. I am not even kidding. He looks pregnant. That's just a sign that someone's on roids. He's obviously on the needle because he wants to get pumped up fucking muscles. I wouldn't be surprised if he's on trend, too. A non-natty motherfucker. He's gonna die from all the roid use. And now he has a small pee-pee. No wonder his girlfriend probably fucking left him. Fucking cuck. My big muscles matter to me. I have body dysmorphia. My penis is small. Oh my god. Did you fucking get Jake Paul, you fucking NPC cuck? He probably will, dude, because he's a fucking idiot. All that roid use is going to his head. He just wants to be a superstar. He just wants the power. It's like he completely forgets who the fuck Mike Tyson is. That's like a woman going into the forest and then going, oh my god, look, a bear. And then they go up to the bear and they're like, I choose this over the man, right? And then they get fucking mauled. That's gonna be Jake Paul and Tyson. Well, I don't think there's any use looking at the stock market anymore. I don't think it's going to go up at all, so... It's like...
At Sleep Outfitters Outlet, great sleep is a big deal. Save 40 to 60% every day.
Yeah, I don't think the stock market is going to go to the projected price I think it was going to go to today, which is kind of a bummer. So, I'm not 100% sure on that, Jelly. He probably will eat mushrooms before the fight. Dude, I've seen Tyson on the Joe Rogan show where he had probably an ounce bag of magic mushrooms. He went in there like a handful, like it was like M&M candy. Took out probably like 8 or 4 grams of mushrooms in his hand, and then just shoves it all in his mouth. Like it was nothing. And he just looks at everybody, he's like, that was nothing. That's a normal dose for me. And I'm like, are you fucking kidding me, Tyson? Are you kidding me? That's a normal dose? What do you mean that's a normal dose? You're probably gonna hit your bet, Stark. I probably should have gone lower. I personally went with a lotto bets. I personally just went with the lotto bets. You never know. I was expecting way more of a bull run, but this is just being a little ridiculous. No, my 6,000 is... No, I have 6,050 by the end of tomorrow. Tomorrow close. And then I had small lotto picks for it to go over 6,000 today, because I honestly thought we were going to squeeze, but I guess we didn't squeeze as hard as I thought. Like, we finally got our rate cut for the first time ever. He had so many good things to say in that meeting, and we didn't squeeze as much as I thought we were going to. No, you're good. I probably just should have done the bet like you did, where it's 59.50 by the end of the day or above. That's easily gonna hit, dude. That bet's gonna easily hit. Now it just looks like the market is going back to normal, and it's just like boring to watch, and I'm just like, ugh. Well, that was fun, I guess. I'm not gonna lie, dude. I don't think it's gonna hit 6,050 tomorrow. I spent $80 on it to hit 650 or above, and I can cash out 40 of it. I don't know if this is worth it. So right now, SPY SP 500 is 59.77. I spent $80 on this bet. I can cash out 40 of it to save myself, or do I let it ride for a chance for $2,000 if we actually think it's gonna go 650, 60, 50 or higher? I don't know if it's going to at this rate. I don't know. Oh, now my cash out went to 20. Now it's not even worth it. I don't even think it would have been worth it. I don't know. I don't even think I would have done it at 40. Yeah, I'm just gonna let it ride. I don't even know what's gonna happen. SPX right now is 59.75. It's 5. Oh, you had it. Yeah, no, it's 5,975. It's not 7,500 yet. I think SPY is probably going to go down. But I don't know. I don't even think it's worth cashing out that $20. Because I'm trying to figure out, what else I could put it on. Financials, SP 500. Well, the SP... You know what? I actually might... I don't know. I might cash it out. Wow, massive green candle out of nowhere. I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't. I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't sell. Now my cash out is back to 40. All over that tiny price movement? I don't know, man. Loose. Lucy. Dude, that actually might be a sweat bet. The SP 500 to not close. Wait a minute. Oh, wait, hold on. Oops, I read that number wrong. Tee-hee. For the SP 500 to close above 5975 and it's 5977. Yeah, it's just being weird right now. I'm still debating on cashing this out, man. I don't know. I'm just gonna regret cashing this out because if it goes above, I know, that's why I'm gambling it. It's almost a gamble. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what to do. I'm in a, what do you call a sticky situation. Because here's the thing. If we shoot up before the market ends in the next, like, 10 minutes, and it just continues to crank into aftermarket, and in, like, midnight trading, and then it cranks into, like, you know what I mean? So, like, dude, like, for example, like, it didn't even crank that hard in midnight trading. Yeah, it didn't even really crank that hard. Like maybe $2, and the SP 500 cranked into an oblivion. So, in over that night, it went from, it ended, I think it was like 59.29, and it opened up at 59.49. It went up a whole 20 points overnight. All because SPY went up like, I think $1. So my thing is that if this does crank, I might hold on to it, because then if it cranks into cranks even more in aftermarket tonight, or like, well, this afternoon, and then cranks even more in overnight trading, and then it might have a chance to actually go 60-50 tomorrow. Well, we're already back to 59.80. It was literally just 59.75, and it's already jumped a whole 5 points in less than 5 minutes. Actually 4 minutes. You know, I actually might just hold on to it. Yes. That's my whiskey collection so far. And then on the right side, that's just my my one jar of moonshine. I love my moonshine. Blackberry moonshine, baby. Yes, sir. And then I just finished off, well, I almost finished off, like I have a smidge left of my screwball. This is my favorite by far. I'm a peanut butter addict, and I went on a mission to find my favorite peanut butter whiskey because I love making peanut butter drinks, and this is by far absolutely amazing. I mean, you can tell. I mean, I've drank almost all of it, but yeah, this shit is bomb. Specs dropped. I mean, yeah. It's not even worth me cashing out that bet anyways, Stark, so I'm just gonna let it ride. Whatever happens, happens. But, damn. Literally in the last... Literally in the last 60 seconds, it just went from 59.81 to 59.73. Massive drop. Damn. Damn. Yeah, I told you, the price action is ridiculous. I don't even know how the bookies do the odds on a stock betting app, or even a political betting app. Like, how? What do you do to like calculate the odds when it's live? Like, I don't get it. It doesn't make any sense. My gut is telling me to. Oh no, it's not. Now that cash out's not even worth it. I should have cashed out when it was 40. Yeah, no, the price action's a little ridiculous on this app. Well, that was a really bad ending to the stock day. I was expecting way more, but yeah, that was kind of a letdown. Honestly, I might do some more bets though. I'll post them in the Discord. I'll message you if I find any more. But I might call it here. I'm probably gonna hop on my PlayStation 5 and live stream Call of Duty, Black Ops 6. Freaking grinding some of the guns there. I just got the C9 gold, and I'm grinding through some of the levels on there. So I mean, if you guys want to watch me fucking kick ass on there and show you all what I use and setup and all that, so I'll be playing on that. But shit, what was I gonna say? I want to say one more thing. No, I think that's it. I will definitely be doing more streams like this, like financial and money streams later on, probably tonight or tomorrow, just depends. So, we'll see. If you guys want to watch me play Call of Duty, I'll start that stream up here in like 20-30 minutes max. So, as always, peace out, deuces. It's going to be a good day. I'll definitely catch you on the PS5 stream. Deuce.